guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Today I want to talk about a really interesting finding. I guess this would be a very easy video to crap on women and them hitting the wall and seeing their age and things like that. But I think that would be kind of the easy way out. The more interesting topic here, I think, is that how AI and artificial intelligence, and I've talked about this in a couple other videos, it's crushing women's souls, but it's also going to be, I think, the end of a lot of content that you see with the saucy stuff on the internet. But what's interesting about this is about an app, a new AI app. I think it's through TikTok, of course, where it de-ages people. And what I found interesting about this is all the women that are seeing themselves as younger. Many of them are reacting both of I wish I still looked like that and how much I've gone through in life, but also all the things that I wish I could go back and tell this young person. And that seems to be the kind of the running theme for the women. For the men, I think they're looking at it more either technologically or how interesting it is. And so I'm going to cover this a little bit today. Some of them I have to mute because they play cringe music over it, but I tried to pick some that where you could actually hear the people talking. I'm just going to play a few of these so you get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm going to use the teenage filter.
Of course, I'll have to drop out the boom noise at the end of these things. I'm just going to play through a couple of these, and you'll kind of get the gist of where I'm going, and then we'll jump to the men's portion of this.
Hey, I turned this filter on. I'm crying because I haven't seen myself like this in years. And I was so pretty. We were so pretty. I was pretty when I was younger. I was mean to her, though. I didn't treat her right. I've been crying because I want to give myself a hug. I don't want anybody in my family to come down here seeing me crying over this stupid filter, though. And I look like Justin Bieber. Baby, 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 oh. Flawless. I love you.
Again, women, their big takeaway seems to be that again, they wish they had the youth and the beauty and the ability to go back and correct their misdeeds of the past. Here's another one. I don't know if this has music or not. Let me test. Yep, it does, of course. But anyway, this is in this photo is what the teen gal looks like. And it says, oh, hey, the new filter everyone's using. And you can see it's full of tears and crying. And then you can see what she really looks like down below. And she's like holding it together and then complete, utter losing it. The reason why I think this is funny is because, you know, when I watched these, there was part of me that's like, man, it was a different time. You know, she says on here, I wish I knew her because she doesn't recognize herself. It was a different time. I think I think a lot of the people that are looking at this wish they made different choices in life, or they wish they could go back to when times were simpler or things weren't as crazy. I felt a little bit of that myself. I even said, geez, you know, going back to those times, everything was easy, everything was fun, everything was kind of lighthearted, everything didn't seem so serious, or people weren't quite as angry and bitter about everything. This one doesn't have music to it, so I'll let this one play as well. But this is, you know, these are people that are now nearing the autumn of their lives, you might say, and they're reflecting back, wishing they had made different life choices. And many times when you watch videos of people being interviewed that are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and people, the person interviewing them says, what do you wish you had done differently in life? Almost all of them said, I wish I had focused more on friends, family, less on work, more on travel. And it's a very stern reminder that this is a one-way trip, and that it's important to make sure to make the best choices you can, the right choices, and don't worry so much about what happens in the moment. Worry about what's to come. And I kind of had this revelation after I went down to Peru and did my ayahuasca trip, and then I took the next 18 months or so traveling around the world. It's a really good reminder of what's important. Now, what's important to you is probably not what's important to me. But one of the reasons why I wanted to do the trip is because there's so many beautiful people and locations and cultures and food, and you don't get that experience by watching it through the TV. There was Anthony Bourdain, who is a famous chef, and in one of the things that I was watching one of his episodes before he had ended himself, and he was somewhere in Vietnam, I believe he was, southern Vietnam, and he was eating some food and being part of the culture and talking to people there, and he said, people don't realize that you can come here and stay in this culture and see this culture and learn this culture and eat the food here, and it probably costs you less than $5 a day. He said it's one of the cheaper things you can do if you have the resources available to you. And he said it's a shame that so many people go through life without ever experiencing this firsthand. And I saw that before I went on my ayahuasca trip to Peru. And after I came back from Peru, I said, what am I doing? Like, I just ended a relationship. I don't really, I had quit my job because that was with the network engineer job that I had, and I was very unhappy. And I said, I need to just wipe all the chess pieces off the board and start over again. And so I did. And ever since then, my life has been completely different. Sometimes a fresh start is the great way to go. And I think these people that we see in this video wish they had a fresh start. But for the women, it seems like they're all very sad, and the guys are more curious or interested. I'll keep playing so you can see a couple more of these. But again, I just kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit while it's on my mind.
I opened up this filter because it was trending, and I thought it'd be fun to do. But just like everybody else, everybody asks me what that shit is on the side of my face. If you look close, they are upside down teardrops. 43. They go from my chin to the top of my head. And they're upside down. Because then, I didn't give a shit. I'm so sorry for who I was.
Again, reflection is always amazing. And this is one of the reasons why, I wanted to start this channel and have some of the conversations we have so that, going forward, I'm a 50-year-old man now. And when I go back to some of the mistakes and some of the things that I did back in my 20s, my 30s, hell, even in my early 40s, there's always that moment where you say, man, I wish I'd known more or thought more about my future, because when you're a young person, everything's ahead of you. Everything is easy, and you've got your whole life ahead of you. Only when you get to maybe the halfway point or the three-quarter of the way through do you say, you know what, I wish I had done some things differently. And I think that's why so many women are getting very upset over this, is I think they wish they made different life choices. Now, maybe there's some men that feel the same way, but they didn't. Now, maybe this is just because men are not on TikTok and uploading their stuff. Or maybe if they cried or struggled with it, they didn't want everybody to see it. But the men that did upload it have a much different reaction. I want to play a few of those as well. This is, again, cringy music. But here's a gentleman that's pretty impressed. It even adds a little bit of hair on the top of his head, shades it a little bit. And you can see he's more fascinated. It's not a life reflection moment. He's not going deep into thought. I don't think it's him. I think it's a daughter or a wife or somebody else that decided to film him, because I don't see this gentleman doing big things on TikTok necessarily. But again, you can see the kind of the reaction is like, wow, this is really interesting. I'll play a few more through here. Same cringe music again. And you can see this guy's like, wow, this is neat. He thinks it's cool. He thinks it's interesting. He's smiling. He's checking it out and stretching his face and flexing his neck a little bit. And that's it. It's a much different reaction from the gentleman. This guy, I think we can listen to. I don't think there's music over this one. He definitely sounds Jamaican to me.
How many Bumbo clot this. Eh? I saw me look when me the younger. Damn, me look bumbo clot. Me look handsome and boy, me bag up a whole heap of woman when me the young, you know. Blood clot, my boy, look, your face clean like a motherfucker. But look for me now. That clot, I know me handsome. Bumbo clot, my face look more better when me get older. I saw me a age looking handsome no bumbo clot. Look how me a age. At the age at bumbo clot 44-year-old. Still look the same way when me was 17 to blood clot. I kill them to blood clot. Man, look at. Oh, when you younger, you date, you bag up a whole heap of man, my boy, I know you still a do it.
And you can see he even said at one point there, although it's quite challenging to understand the dialect and the accent and everything, he says, oh, hey, I'm still looking handsome, looking better than I did back then, even though I was a handsome 17-year-old. Again, a very good reaction. This is the last one I'll play, and then we'll kind of wrap it up a little bit.
There's this filter on TikTok that makes you look young. And now TikTok is just full of middle-aged folks being confronted by this and trying to come to terms with trying to understand where their life went. It's quite emotional.
And that's all he said. And very accurate. Very well put. So I wanted to do this video, number one, to kind of express again how the women are kind of, women's value many times is from their youth and their beauty and their femininity, at least traditionally. And of course, things like that are changing very quickly nowadays. But over time, they realize that they lose their advantage in life. Where men, I think, continue to gain their advantage as they age. We become more confident, we become stronger, we become better providers, we make more money, we have more to offer in a relationship where a young man does not. And women, as they age, they realize, why do so many women pay billions of dollars in facial creams and things to keep them looking young? Because they know that that's when they had the most beauty, the most power, the most advantage. And as things change, most of the men, even this gentleman was like, hey, you know what? Yeah, as you age, you realize that it's pretty tough to leave your past behind. And I think we all, even as we age a little bit, we all kind of have to come face to face with our own mortality. And you say, at the end of the day, whether you're religious or not, the lights go out. The dance here on the planet, at least this planet, and in this reality, is over. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to make it count? Are you going to make it mean something? And I think the realization for most of these people is, hey, I remember what it was like back then when everything was ahead of me and everything was exciting and fun and I didn't know what was going to happen and life is out there somewhere. And then as you age, life is kind of back there somewhere or a large portion of it. And so while, we can poke fun a little bit at the girls welling up in tears and the guys being fascinated about this, the real takeaway, and I wish I had listened to the people that were a little older than me at the time when I was a 20-something or a young 30-something that felt like I knew everything. The real truth is, when you get to be 50 years old like I am, I'm still the 18-year-old I was. It's just I have a lot more wisdom and a lot more experience and a lot more knowledge, and you become more jaded and more frustrated and maybe a little more bitter about life, but you're still kind of the same person you were back then. It's just got a lot more. You've been forged a little bit more in the iron, and you've hardened up a little bit. So maybe take this as a good little reminder today that whether you're young, you're going to be old, everything seems in front of you, but before you know it, you are going to blink and you're going to be a 50-year-old, 23-year-old, if that makes any sense. And to make sure to do something with it, with your time. You know, time. The reason why you get paid for going to work is you're trading your time for money. Make sure that balance is something that is healthy and that you get enough, you know, because if I offered to pay you $10 to take an hour off the end of your life, you know, which would be, I'll give you 30 grand if you're going to die a year earlier, or 40 grand or 50 grand or whatever it is. I'll give you 50 grand right now today to die a little bit earlier. Most people, especially those that are really enjoying life and loving it, would say that's not a good trade. That's not a good deal. But that's really what you're doing when you go to work every day. You're trading parts of your time for your life for money. So then when you go out and you say, I'm going to buy a vehicle, or I'm going to buy a new camera or a new computer or whatever, what you're really doing is saying, I'm going to trade X amount of my time on this planet to get this item. Maybe thinking of it that way is enough to make you say, you know something, maybe I don't need that thing. Maybe it's better for me to save and to prepare for my future and to enjoy more of the time that is here doing the activities that I love, whether it be travel, whether it be, you know, dating, whether it be family, whether it be friends, whether it be motorcycle riding or hitting the gym. That's really what life boils down to, is trading time for something. Are you going to trade it for something enjoyable? Or are you going to trade it for a paycheck? We all have to make those sacrifices, but make sure the sacrifice is worth it. Because just like these people seeing this filter, I think a lot of them are maybe rethinking some of their choices. And if you're young, or even if you have the opportunity to maybe make some different decisions in life, maybe decide to do something a little bit better with that time. Guys, if you're over here on YouTube, please join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com. We will continue on with a dating profile of the day.